going to talk about talking to somebody. I think it's really important that someone who's not a lawyer, you talk to quite regularly about what's going on in your life. Often what people will do is get extremely frustrated with what's happening, especially in the first year of separation. That can be the most difficult period for everything, especially if you have kids that are involved in this, as I've talked about in previous videos. And they'll run to a lawyer and tell them all the gibberish that has been going on, the small things that are, I mean, they're important to you and they anger you, but in terms of the case, the divorce case, mean nothing. If you end up getting a good lawyer, then they will dismiss it and say, let's focus on what's important. And if you get a lawyer who isn't quite as ethical, maybe that's a poor way of saying it, they want to make money. And so they'll listen to you and they'll appease you by writing it down and sending it to your ex's lawyer. But it's going to cost you a lot of money. At $300 to $400 an hour, they'll write it down and they'll digest it and they'll process the paperwork. Talk to someone. If you have a friend who's gone through a divorce, I have, and I've talked to several of my friends. Of course, the first piece of advice I always give them is there anything you can do to avoid this? And especially when you have kids, I have 2 kids of my own. And when I was going through my separation, they were 3 and 6, almost 6 years old. They were young, and I didn't want to go through it, but sometimes you have to do what you have to do. And so I've counseled other people. And if you're interested in that counseling, you certainly can contact me and we can talk on a more live basis. But I've counseled them, and the first piece of advice is, go to counseling, talk to someone. If you can at all avoid this, avoid it. It's not good for anybody. Ultimately, though, you need to be happy. If you're not good, then no one around you will be good either. So sometimes you have to do what you have to do. So I appreciate that as well. And I got divorced and now remarried. Anyways, find someone to talk to that's not a lawyer, a friend, someone who's been divorced before, a family member, a brother, a sister, a best friend, even if they haven't been divorced. If your work has some sort of counseling available, take advantage of that. Speak to someone. Don't keep it bottled in, and certainly do not go to a lawyer to tell them all of this small minutia argument stuff going back and forth. I'll give you an example. Being an Italian, my parents are traditionally big on people eating a lot, mangia, and they took care of my kids a lot when they were young. And one of the things my ex put in writing was that she was concerned, and she said it not so nicely, that my parents wanted to fatten up my kids, our kids, and she had concerns about them taking care of them because of that reason. My parents are wonderful people, and they did nothing but help my children. But that was put into a court document, which was laughed off by both my lawyer and by the judge. But it had to be responded to, and my ex spent a lot of money as well, getting that in, and she had nothing else of value to say. So get that kind of stuff out when it's not costing you $300 to $400 an hour. But it's also important for your mental well-being to get that out. Don't keep it in. Right? Don't feel embarrassed to talk about it. Don't feel you shouldn't. You should talk about it. Right? You need to be strong for this, and to be strong for this, you need to get stuff out. You're going to be angry. You'll be sad sometimes. You'll be happy other times. Because you've left and perhaps free of some burdens. You'll be frustrated financially. So many things. Definitely speak to someone. Who is it in your life that you can trust? And if there isn't anyone, sometimes you don't feel comfortable talking to someone that you know about problems in your life because it's personal, and talking to someone that you know on a personal level means it's going to sort of overlap parts of your life that you don't want to overlap, and that's cool. Again, whether it's finding a counselor or again, contact me and we can arrange something. we can definitely figure out, or you need to figure out, who can you talk to, because it's extremely important to hash things out and to have closure on certain items so you can focus on the really important ones and not have the small ones be the ones you focus on when you're trying to litigate or to try to establish child custody or any sort of financial stipulations of your divorce agreement. Anyways, I'm Luke, and as I said, if you need to contact me, feel free to leave me a message. You could also get a hold of me at nojo1970 @gmail.com, and I'll respond to you as well. Anyways, have a great day, and until next time, take care.